You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one where the horns are always down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Horns Down Podcast.
What's up, people? Shout out to everybody that was watching us do our thing on the SEC Connect. If you're coming in here now, or if you're just coming to watch this show right here, like, subscribe, do all those different things. This is the Horns Down Podcast. Obviously, y'all see who I got with me today. Sean, Mr. Onikudo, my favorite YouTuber, one of the guys that really got me like, I want to talk like that. I want to talk noise. I love talk shit. So
I'm banned from the SEC. I'm shadow banned, I think. So it's like they don't want me on there.
Hey, look, Sean makes great content. Obviously, I know he has a YouTube channel, does his thing, always has funny takes, crazy takes. Like I told you last time, still a little bit upset with you that you did not call me when Orange Bloods came knocking, because I would have loved to step in legally, physically, mentally, spiritually, whichever way you wanted me to. We could have got dirty with them, but you handled that. You handled that though.
I just let it all. You know what? It's fine. I just let it all go, and I'm still here kicking, and we're playing UT this week, right? So we are playing. It's like that whole debacle of like, who's the real UT? Is like, you both suck.
We're playing another orange team, or as I like to say, the brightest orange in America, Okie Light. But anyway,
sherbet orange.
It's sherbet orange. But before we get to the Tennessee game, which that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, kind of breaking it down for you guys. Let me get your final thoughts now that you've had time away, maybe watching more game film or watching the game back again or whatever. What are your final thoughts about the Tulane game?
I actually haven't really, outside of highlights, I haven't watched any game back, because it's just, it's been a combination of like, you kind of burn the game film for week 2. Week 1, you can't, it's like Temple's just that awful. Yeah. And then Tulane, I went back and watched some stuff, but it's just, for the most part, it's like, I loved what they did in the first half. Like, Luttrell did exactly what I hoped he did. He was able to spoon feed some plays for Jackson, and they were able to get in there. He's like, you want us to dink and dunk? Well, dink and dunk. And he got a little bit of rhythm. And for the first half, the offense looked competent, which was like, we went from having no offense to slightly average and then I feel like the reporter on South Park, the impossible has happened. And so, okay, can we do it in the second half? And the second half things got a little rough, and the defense played outstanding once again. And I know people ripped on the defense a little bit here and there, and I'm like, guys, I don't know what you're expecting until we get to R. Mason Thomas, like, dropping out of a helicopter he's aerosol 101st. But no, like, I expected Tulane to score, get some points, make a few plays. They have people that we recruited once on their team, and that's what I think. That's what football fans of the modern era, who I don't want to call them filthy casuals, but it's like, guys, the days where you whoop up on Tulane just because their name is Tulane. There are programs out there who are legit. This is the program who a couple of years ago we went, they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl, and we're surprised that they gave us a little bit of a game, right?
And they still have a bunch of those players and a lot of remnants from that Willie Fritz era. I have a lot of respect for this team. That's a good ball club, and coming in here to Norman, the doom and gloom Sooners. We're telling you how they're going to score this, they're going to score that, and I felt good. One, we're playing at home. Our defense has been playing. It's about as good as anybody else in the nation has, to be honest with you. And also, I think that the K-State game gave me a lot of confidence going into this game, a lot more confidence than even what I had going in, simply because you kind of look at what they did with Arizona and you say, I think Arizona's a better ball club, kind of a more hyped up version of of Tulane, and they went out there and did that. So maybe they were overlooking them, or maybe they weren't. I don't know, but it just kind of made me feel like, okay, there's something's got to give. But outside of the Jackson Arnold pick six, you hold that team to 12 points. Look, people, they're going to score more than 12 points all year on a whole bunch of teams, and some teams that are, what you would say, borderline pretty good teams. They're going to play in a decent conference, and they should be able to compete and win that conference championship, which at the end of the year, hopefully they do. That makes us look better, right? So, no, I definitely agree with you there. But, I mean, I think that's kind of a big takeaway is that obviously the middle eight or just the second half period was a bit stagnant, but you saw some things that came out of that game that you were pleased with that can trickle over to this game. So yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about it. You got anything else to add about that game?
Well, like I said, like our Mason Thomas, like dropped out of a helicopter and, put on a cape and just like he, I'm going to use like, I was talking to some buddies of mine last night. It's like, everyone loves to say, oh, they went Super Saiyan. Hang on a second. Let's not go for, let's say he will learn the Kaioken first. Like, save Super Saiyan for later. We're gonna need Super Saiyan down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit of a Dragon Ball connoisseur.
Oh, big! You know me.
He doubled and tripled his power output for a little bit. That was because it wasn't Super Saiyan long term. That was a Kaioken kind of moment where he literally turned it on.
It faded away,
when he
right?
needed it.
It faded away.
That's right. So, but our Mason looked great. So
yeah, our Mason looked great. You're gonna like this, but called. He was very hard on him. I kept telling. I said, he's killing 69. No, did he? He's killing 69. He is killing that tackle, whoever tackle he's lined up against. He just can't get home. However, when he did get home, he got there 3 times and ended up getting a forced fumble out of that, recovered fumble as well. So he has to keep that up. That's got to be something that goes from there. Ethan Downs got a sack as well. PJ was out there and looked good. I'll tell you somebody else who was giving that offensive line all they can handle, just wasn't getting home. Woolard looked good.
Yeah.
Woolard is still in that process of trying to learn this playbook, and it shows, and you could tell at times. But as far as just being a straight pass rusher, guys just have to connect. They got to get there. We were in this position a few years ago with like Reggie Grimes, guys like that, who they can climb, they can get there, they can get past the guy, they just can't get home. Now we see our Mason Thomas, who is healthy. This has to translate to this next game in a big way. We have to get a true pass rush, and you're hoping you can have that because I think Dolby is going to be back. And if people want to talk about the defense, you got to look at. I'm sorry, Woody can't play Cheetah. That was my takeaway from.
With Dolby coming back in, I don't know if you've about an hour ago.
Yeah.
The first SEC injury or availability report dropped for everybody. So now this could change in a few days, but in case you're wondering, Kendall Dolby is listed as probable to play. Nick Anderson listed as probable, who we've probably been told he's been probable for 3 weeks now, but I'm gonna guess he's gonna give it a go this time. Branson Hickman is questionable, so that's 50-50 for him. Jake Taylor's questionable, 50-50 for him. Deshaun McCullough is doubtful, so I'm not expecting him to. I'm not expecting him to play till maybe Texas at this point. Yeah. Troy Everett is listed as probable, which is interesting. So if he can give it a go for if you need just some depth, just depth in general, like just having him potentially available is a key. And Andrew Anthony listed as probable. Now I would argue maybe he's been probable for a couple weeks now because he's been suited up. He's been trying to warm up and give it a go. So I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing with him going into this week. But if this is the week to try to go out there and see if you can do something, this is it. So all
Did
hands
you
on
see
deck.
anything about Taylor?
Taylor is questionable from what I believe. Yeah, he's questionable. So I know he's practicing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he's more questionable for those who don't know. It's that's 50%, probable's 75, doubtful's 25, and if you're out, you're out. So
I thought that Chris Mason, shout out to Chris Mason, Sooners 360. He had a good point the last time we were on together. He said, maybe for this game, if Taylor can go, you go with him, or maybe you try to use a mix of Tarquin and Taylor at times if you can, as far as just trying to switch them out and trying to see who's going to have the better play. Because, I mean, obviously, this is a game where you would want Taylor to be in there. If we're just talking about offensive line wise right now, especially, I think that's a perfect segue from the injury report to this. But if we're talking about offensive line, I mean, I want you to tell me who would be your 5, and in the chat, you guys can tell me as well. We'll put that on the screen. But who would be your starting offensive line for this Tennessee game, given that, considering the defensive line or the front 7 that we're going to see?
Well, I think the best you could put out there, I want Sexton, Ozeta, I want Hickman, I want Fabici, and if Taylor's healthy, you put him out there, but if not, then Tarquin.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, that's kind of the best we're going to be able to do. I'm hoping Hickman can give it a go. I'm guessing they're being cautious with him right now because he's still high ankle sprain and everything. But even so, like, that's still going to be a tough challenge no matter who you throw out there. And it's like they're going to have to do a lot of the same things they did last week. It's going to have to be like first read, find your hot read, get the tight ends involved, get the running backs involved in the passing game. You're going to have to chip in a few guys to make them think twice about trying to like get a little aggressive on the pass rush. But it's just like I know people are like, we're like the consensus, some obviously here in the chat, but the consensus outside of our fandom, outside of Norman, because you see on social media is like whoa, Tennessee's going to blow out Oklahoma. I have no doubt. I'm not going to sit here and say like, look, Tennessee beating Oklahoma is the logical thing that's probably going to happen. But for them to blow them out at this point, I think the reason Oklahoma loses this game is not because they get blown out, it's because they're just not able to score enough points. It doesn't mean they're going to lose by 4 touchdowns. I think the defense, this game is going to go one of 2 ways. It could be a Tennessee blowout, or Oklahoma just, if they're going to win this game, they're going to barely win this game.
So this is what I have to say about that. I agree with you on the O-line. What I have to say about it is that I don't think you necessarily have to go out there and play out your mind. People have to remember, and I hate to say the cliche thing and give the coach spiel or whatnot, but this is going to be his first game, Nico's first game on the road. I think the crowd is going to be ruckus. Second off, I think that you've had a lot of experience and a lot of success coaching wise at previous stops, and now I think here as well against an offense like this with this veer and shoot or whatnot, and you understand the dynamic of it. Now, don't get me wrong, we practiced against it for 2 years, right? But Levy, Heupel, all these guys run a different variation of it, and they have their own little spin off of it, other than what you consider the king. And I hopefully it's not in poor taste to use his name, but Art Browse, who would be the king of this veer and shoot offense or whatnot. I mean, they run it differently, but it's still going to have some of the same concepts, right? You're hearing, Teddy and Gabe and all of them talk. They were talking today those deep digs and different things like that. Those are the same plays they ran against Bama a couple of years ago. But this team doesn't necessarily play good on the road. And the thing is that I think our defense, as long as we're not playing too shallow, right? And Dolby is back, and that helps out. I think we'll be fine, guys. And I think that we can. I think defensively, I think we can get pressure on Nico, and I think we can make things uncomfortable for him. As what this game really boils down to is, can we play? And I keep saying it, guys. I keep saying it. Can we play complementary football? Because it's going to have to be that. Our defense can only hold them for so long, to where if they're on the field a crap ton of times because we're having 3 and outs, that's just not going to do it. But you're hoping with Nick Anderson coming back, you're hoping that gives Arnold another guy that he's willing to throw the ball to. And what I mean by that is for those chunk plays. This is going to be a game where there's occasionally going to be plays that have to be made as far as some of those deep throws down the field. Jackson is going to have a good pocket presence and a good feel. I know people keep talking about him using his legs, which I do think that's going to be a part of the game plan, but I just feel like Jackson's going to have to be smart with the ball, and they're going to have to get him in a rhythm quickly, because I don't necessarily see us having a great day on the ground. I think we'll be somewhat effective, but I think it's going to be the passing game, and I think that secondary is obviously the weakness, but Jackson is just going to have to be cool, calm, and complacent and collected, back there in that pocket. We can't leak out, can't do crazy things, which you've seen improvement each week. Maybe Houston is kind of questionable, but you've seen improvement in some strides. It's just he goes through those ruts that they suck. But you're hoping that once you get these guys healthy and they're back on the field, you're hoping that offensive line has played good these past 2 weeks. Not great, not anything that's unimaginable. They played good enough for you to go out there and do what you did the past 2 weeks, which is win. Defensively, I mean, like I said, as long as we're not playing shallow back there, RSJ, that's my only complaint with him right now. Sometimes it feels like he gets a little bit lost in the sauce back there, but I feel good about the game. I really do. I feel like some of the narratives that would normally be there for a young quarterback playing his first true road game going to be emotional for a lot of people because of Heupel. I think our defense is really good. We're playing at home. History tends to be on our side in games like this, where we're playing night games. And I know we played Okie Light. We played some really good teams, night games, road games, but especially at home. In those games, we haven't necessarily been favored in. Now, maybe Vegas picked us, but not everybody nationally picked us. And so I'll pass the mic to you, but when I think about it, man, I really feel good about our chances in this game. I just feel like the pressure's not necessarily on us like we ourselves are trying to put on ourselves. I think the pressure would be more on Tennessee to continue doing what they're doing because, I mean, they're hot right now, and I give them that, but this is still all uncharted territory for them as well outside of the Hendon Hooker year because Heupel has been building there for the longest. It took him a second because all the infractions that Pruitt left him, right? So,
well, I mean, defensively, I think the corner's got to be a little more physical. Because Tennessee they got some really big wide receivers on the outside.
yeah,
I know Brew McCoy's on his like 9th year of eligibility, but but it's like he's still there. He caught a pass last week. And they throw to a guy named Nimrod, which is always fun to say if you're a play-by-play guy. But in all seriousness, like what Tennessee's been really doing well, like the past couple weeks, is running the football. Like they haven't really stretched the field that much. Like it's not like Nico hasn't had like this monster like passing game so far this year. Maybe week 1 against Chattanooga, but it's a very balanced offense. And the one thing I'm looking for Oklahoma. What the game plan is going to be. Are they going to try to load the box with 7-8 guys and to try to stop the run? Are they going to trust their secondary to be out there on islands by themselves? Or are they going to run more of like a 3-man down lineman to try to like take away the passing game? How much do they trust? Obviously we're way better with 3 technique guys than we have been depth wise. Probably ever. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So
it's been a while.
If you want to do 3 down linemen, if you want to put, Dejan there, Dominic there, great. It's just I'm just curious to see what obviously Brent's going to have some exotic things that are just for this game because the defense for the most part, has played very, I don't want to say vanilla, but pretty standard stuff. They haven't shown everything, and you can get away with saying that with the defense because they've been playing very well so far this season. So you can say those things now.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, you can. So I know for a fact that they didn't want to have like Jackson run the ball last week, but they kind of had to. They had to do something. So obviously you said that's going to be part of the game plan. He's going to be using his legs. I do wonder at some point if just to throw a different face out there, just to like throw like if you have packages for Mike Hawkins, not to replace Jackson, but just to put him out there, because if you want to add another dimension, if you want Jackson to run the ball and have him run the ball, like throw him out there too and use his athleticism, because he's a overall better athlete than Jackson Arnold, even though he can run like a gazelle himself, as we saw down the sideline last week. But yeah, it's going to be if the pieces we have coming back this week are just enough to, I don't know if you run, if you run the clock, or you clock management, where you just try to like hold on to the ball, you try to like not go tempo, you try to hold on to the ball, you keep that offense off the field. Whatever you got to do to find a way to stay in the game, because that's kind of how I feel going to this. I'm excited about it, but I do understand it's like if Tennessee drops 21, 28 points in the first half, it's over. I am so anti the game is over in the first half guy, but this offense has yet to show me anything where if you give up for any reason, whether you give up points, defense, special teams, offense with a turnover, if you're giving up like 3 or 4 scores first half, you just might as well pack it in, because there's no way they're catching up.
But I could see this. I could see this also as people think it could potentially be a track meet or whatnot that you don't want to get into.
Track meet.
No. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are saying you don't want to get in a track meet with Tennessee. I don't necessarily think we want to do that, but this could also be a game where it could be kind of a defensive kind of tug of war for a bit until somebody can pop open, because as high powered as that Tennessee offense has looked, they've looked great against Tennessee, Chattanooga, and Kent State, and I'll give them that. We haven't seen an offense as explosive like that this year, but on the other hand, we haven't seen a defense like this as well. We all know the same things we're saying about OU right now. Pretty much that's what we already knew about NC State. NC State is going to go out there and have a couple of drives where they're going to believe on defense, a couple of defensive stands where it makes them feel pretty good. But at some point, that offense is going to have to play complementary football. And we all know, as good as that coach up there is for NC State and some of the games he calls, a good quarterback, a consistent quarterback always eludes him. He had Devin Leary, all those guys. It just has not worked for him. So coming into this game, I think that we're better than that. I think offensively, this may be one of those games where we do look like we have some sense and we do find the groove. I think that you do have to work the field at least to start the game to get Jackson in a groove. But I mean, to me, what it comes down to with Jackson is just execution. Just what are you seeing? Because as far as like watching film, watching the games back or whatnot, I keep saying it. I don't necessarily have an issue all the time with what Luttrell is calling, because guys are open. Guys are getting steps on guys. Jackson is I was watching Josh McQuiston today, and he pointed out a play where looked like what it was a I'm trying to figure out the route that he was talking about, but basically you had kind of like 2 twin routes where Burks and who was it? Petaway. Petaway had like a step or 2 on his guy. He tries to throw it to his guy, which is Burks. Burks is fading out to the sideline, still makes an incredible catch, but you're like, hey, you gotta see these things. And so that's the only thing with Jackson. Sometimes that question is like, what are your eyes actually telling you? Because there are some guys that like you got to throw some guys open, and then, hey, when the guy is open, you got to put it on the money to him. So there are still some things that you're wanting Jackson to do. And I think what people have to understand is this is going to be a battle between 2 young quarterbacks. And you can say Nico looks better, Nico is this and all the rest of that stuff, but still, a true sophomore playing his like first real road game this year, or if you want to call him a true sophomore, because he didn't really play last year, right? So, I mean, playing this game right here at in Norman, it's going to be a tough environment. So we'll see how he responds to that. And like I said, I think that defense, we're going to throw some things at them that they're going to be like, wow, like that's crazy, right?
Well, I mean, Nico's got more of a complete team around him, so he's way more comfortable, and so he's going to have an offensive line who, I'll say, they'll win their fair share of battles. He's going to have time. He's going to have more time to throw to Jackson.
Yeah.
And so Jackson he's got the benefit of the crowd being on his side, and he'll have the ability to at least, hear through his helmet communication. It's like the OU crowd's got to show up too. Like they got to be Texas Tech, like 08, like loud, and they're gonna need to be that for South Carolina and Alabama as well. But overall, just like he's got to take it to the next level. So he's very comfortable with Deion Burks, and because he's been kind of his go-to guy for the season, and he's been like got a rapport with him, like practicing leading up and camp and everything. But so he's got to find a way to Nick Anderson being back will help. Hopefully, got to get Bauer Sharp more involved. If Jaquez Petaway's out there, if Andrell for whatever reason does go and he can actually make any sort of an impact. If Andrell can get out there and make 3 catches, I know it didn't sound like much, but sometimes 3 catches can be everything.
Yeah,
like it's third down, and all of a sudden, like even if it's 3rd and 5, and he makes a catch, like little drag route across, little drag route, and gets upfield a little bit, like makes all the difference in the world sometimes, and it opens things up. But I look at the running game. Brent talked about, he likes the rotation of Gavin Sawchuk, Javonte, and Taylor Tatum. They're trying to find their guy, and I think every member of the fan base is like, it's Taylor Tatum, Taylor Tatum. But he's still got to learn how to pass block himself. So, which is the problem of any true freshman running back. They'll have all the talent in the world, but DeMarco wants to make sure he can pass block because they need the running backs to get in there and chip in a little bit the way things are going. So it's just, I want to believe in this team. I think defensively, it goes back to the defense. Like they forced a lot of turnovers last year. I think they've already matched the amount of forced fumbles they had last year because they were more of they were an interception machine last year. They led the nation, and like they're number 1 or 2 in turnover margin right now. So if you want to set the tone, someone on that defense, whether it's you guys a sack fumble or an interception or a tipped ball or whatever it may be, those guys have to make plays. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think you can allow Tennessee to dictate the pace, dictate the tempo, to do what they want to do, because if you can't put a stop to that, I don't think it's going to matter if the offense has a better day, because I don't think the offense right now is capable of matching Tennessee for score for score.
No,
even if they played up to their potential, which I know it's it's weird to say that, but I know you offense, because that's where we are right now, and they're like, we live in a world where it's like this is kind of the night where the defense becomes real or not. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they are real to an extent. They're the best. This is the best unit we've had in years. And it's being proven week after week because they're the ones who lead the team. They make the plays. They shut things down. They get people excited. And, we talked about R. Mason. PJ Atabari is finally starting to figure it out because, you talk about going back and watching plays like, oh, he's starting to dip his shoulder a little bit. If it wasn't for R. Mason Thomas getting a sack, PJ would have gotten a sack at one point. So it's like guys are stealing plays from other, like that's where we're at right now. R. Mason stole this sack from PJ. Like that's a good problem to have. So again, the defense has set the tone. And I think, I don't know, if we win the coin toss, I kind of want the defense to go out there first and send a message.
Yeah, that's what I want to happen as well. That would get that crowd going. I mean, that would be berserk. Francis says, I don't know why, but I'm getting last year Texas vibes for this game. Everyone doubting us, and our team set the tone like the Texas game with the pick on the first drive. I love it. I love it, Francis.
I'm not there.
I'm kind of there because I'm glad that he brought that up, and I continue to say this, man, is that as high powered as this offense is and all the rest of that stuff, man, outside of the 49-0 loss that we took for Davis Bevel reasons, you have to, look, I trust BV. I trust BV, man. I trust him wholeheartedly. And I feel like games like this, when they say either nut up or shut up, he nuts up. I feel like this is a game where you see just basically a great game plan defensively that doesn't necessarily shut them down. That doesn't necessarily stop them from scoring a lot of points or whatever, but it puts them in some really, really peculiar situations that they're not necessarily going to want to be in. And so I think that he's going to give him some looks. Outside of Georgia and Bama, when they play Tennessee, where they feel like they could just play straight up. And don't get me wrong, it's bit, Alabama once or twice. Obviously, and the reason why I say once or twice is because, they lost to them a few years ago. But why do you think they struggle with South Florida, guys? It's not just because it happened when Saban was there, and it happened when Deborah's up there now. And it wasn't just because of Ty Simpson. Defensively, this is a tough offense to prepare for. But they still went out there and were able to get the job done. And I feel the same way about BV. I feel like Zach Alley and company are going to have a great game plan. I think run game wise, you should be able to. I see you coming out there with a 4-man front, kind of playing them straight up at first to kind of see, but you're going to see a bunch of blitzes and you're going to see some guys come out there. And especially if we get Kendall Dovey back, I think that may be the missing piece to that secondary, because I could see because a couple of the plays that they got, passing plays that were key passing plays for them to keep drives alive and such, were plays where Woody it kind of felt like, okay, is it Woody or is it Sammy? Right? Like you got to, pretty much, if you want to call Sammy a true freshman, he's a redshirt freshman, you would say, hey, he's getting his first start, first all the rest of that stuff, young guy. Woody's really, Cheetah's a hard position to understand. So for all the good he did have some subtractions there, and those were a couple of them. But with Dolby there, that just kind of gives you more comfort there, as far as just having a really good feel for playing that cheetah position. That's always going to be key for this defense. But I think defensively, we could put them in a bind. I think offensively, if we can figure out the pace, the tempo, and kind of dictate things, this is yet again another game. I'll harken back on what Chris Mason and I talked about a few weeks ago, or last week, excuse me. I think heavy personnel. Being an 11 personnel, 12 personnel, not necessarily. I love split back sets, people, but right now, still, I think we're still trying to kind of figure that out. But I mean, it's worked, it's been effective. But I think you stay in 11 personnel and 12 personnel, you have those two tight ends out there for sure, Jake Roberts and all them, to give you those extra blockers to try to help. But I don't know.
It's just hard to see them go toe to toe. It's just seeing those guys trying to get a yard when they need one.
Yeah,
it's just tough to see it right now, because I literally, when you see Javante Barnes like run and trying to run behind the O line, there are times where it feels like he's like got his shoulder up against a brick wall and he's trying to push a brick wall and then nothing's moving. And there's too many times we've seen that over the past few weeks. But there have been moments where, with guys like Ozeta in there, and there's a little bit more rhythm, there's a little bit more consistency. Like they're getting they're getting decent chunks of yardage, but they need to find a way to turn those 4 or 5 yard runs into 10 to 15 yarders if possible. Like there's moments where there were holes there where they could like break free and get something going. Now they've been able to get on the outside. They've had their moments here and there, but this will be obviously the toughest challenge to date, and with everyone watching, and no one's expecting you to win. And the one thing I joked with the buddy of mine last, like, what's funny about this game? It's like, how many times have we been the big bad high powered offense going on the road someplace, and we've seen, oh, this team here has all these problems and they're not going to score on our, they're not going to do this. And then someone has the game of their life and we can't keep pace. When is it our turn to be that team where we ruin, oh, this high powered offense is coming in and we're going to, it's like, is it our turn to be that team? Or we just like make life hell and all of a sudden, like, because in a weird way it's kind of like the reverse of like the 2015 game, but like except you didn't know that Oklahoma was going to be a playoff team that early in 2015, but it's like here comes the high powered offense on the road. Granted, it's Baker Mayfield game number 2, but he had Sterling Shepard, he had Samaje and Joe Mixon and everything. So he had some weapons to throw to, and obviously he didn't quite develop until a little bit later down the road. But it's I think this game is going to be closer than people think. I know Tennessee is what, a 7-point favorite, road favorite, yeah. 7 or 7.5 right now, depending on where you're looking. But look, if you came back from the future and a DeLorean and said Tennessee blows you out, I'd be like, well, I can't say I'm shocked. But again, I can see Oklahoma making this a game to watch in the fourth quarter, coming up short or coming up with a win. There's no scenario where Oklahoma wins in a blowout unless the defense just forces turnover after turnover and pick six and scoop and scores. Like that's the only way that would happen. But I don't foresee that happening.
You don't feel that 2020 night game against O State where
this ain't that crappy O State team.
Hey, I know that, but you can argue and say numbers wise, man. They look. Like I said, man, history tends to repeat itself, right? And I haven't seen us just get flat out beat like we're crazy. I mean, unless you say like, I'm not even going to consider the whatchamacallit game whenever you don't have a quarterback, but TCU was the phenomenon, right? But outside of that, I'm just saying, man, we faced some really good offenses, some really good teams over the years where you felt like, okay, we're reeling in one place, which was defense, right? And we still found a way to win, man. I'm not going to go as far as what Seth would say, being imbued with that Sooner magic for any Texas fans in here. But I do feel like there's something in the air, man. I do feel pretty good about the game. I'll be honest with you guys. And like I said, they're going to call me crazy and they're going to clip this or whatnot. But I got us winning by at least 10. That's how good I feel about this day, because I'm uber confident in the defense, and I think Jackson Arnold has this is his breakout game of the year. It would
be a good time to have it. Look, Jackson can make all the throws.
Yeah,
he's got to be in a position where he can make those throws, and those throws that we fell in love with at some point last year, he needs time. Those need time to develop. And the offensive line,
yeah,
I don't know if they're good enough to give him that time to develop. That's kind of the thing. This team has yet to show me they can stretch the field, and then Tennessee's coming to town. I mean, if it happens, great. But if they do a slightly better version of what they did in the first half last week, great. But at some point they will have to take shots down the field. Like they're gonna have, like, if you have Nick and he's healthy and he can help out with, like, whether it's Dion, whether it's like Zion Kearney, whether it's Brennan Thompson, if he's capable of catching the football, or the tight end, like down the middle with a little bit of a post route there, just anything to make the defense more honest. Because if you can't do that, if you don't have that threat, it's gonna make it a lot easier for Tennessee to like stop whatever it is we're trying to do. And I want to believe. I want to. But one thing we got to do, like, I've been very like I've been kind of like I haven't really talked much about the whole Josh Heupel storyline that everyone is in love with this week, and people who are late to the party. He's mad at Oklahoma, bro. That shit was over like 2 or 3 years ago. Like at minimum 2 or 3 years ago. So people are late to the party on, oh, is he still mad at OU? I was like, oh God, here we go with this crap again. I hope they don't overdo it with like celebrating Josh. I know he's a hero. I know, believe me, I go back and watch the 2000 season videos all the time, every year. For fun. I got the college game days that go with the big games from 2000, but don't overdo it with the welcome back, Josh Heupel. Like, we have a game to play.
Yeah,
because first of all, there's three things I don't like about Josh Heupel right now. One, he's coaching the opposition. Two, he's wearing that ugly ass orange. And if he tries to win the game on Saturday, we're gonna have a problem. So that's 3 strikes and you're out right there. So for one day, I'm not gonna like Josh Heupel, and that's okay. And you're allowed to boo Josh Heupel. Oh God, you can't boo Josh Heupel. Like, it's football. You're not booing him as a human being. You're booing him because he's the opposing football coach. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So be an SEC team. Be an SEC fan base. It's okay. You can love Josh Heupel after the game when it's over. So, but again, I'm not scared of this team, but it's like I feel a lot more comfortable if the offense, because you brought up like stuff like this happened last year, like before people brought up the Texas game. The week before the Texas game, we were humming. We beat down Iowa State 50-20. Like Billy Bowman opened the game with a pick 6, where he ran around like a Roomba on the field before he got to the end zone. And then we had, the offense was clicking with Dylan. So I got on a plane and went to Dallas and felt really good about our chances because, all right, 50-20. All right, we're starting to hum a little bit. We're not in that same position. We don't have that same consistency. So again, if it magically happens and, someone on the offense wants to drop out of a helicopter like R. Mason Thomas did last week, great. Then I will be more than thrilled to, accept, a potential big W on national TV with Fowler Herbstreit there, with game day there and everything. But this is it. OU is going to have to play a perfect football game. You can't have moments, especially Brent with his clock management. You can't have a moment where your kicker goes out there to kick a field goal and all of a sudden the play clock runs out, 5-yard penalty, and then you're punting. You can't have stuff like that. So Brent has got to be on his game too. So Brent, if one thing Brent has been lackluster on the first couple of years as a head coach is some clock management.
Yeah,
not paying attention to the clock.
Damn timeouts too.
Managing his timeouts. What are you doing? So again, just these are the little things that are going to matter in games like this. You're not your talent level. Maybe on defense is equal or better. It's not on offense right now. Offensively, you are not equal or better as of right now. Like, you may have guys on paper that are hurt and can't play, but as of right now, offensive line is not the snub. Wide receivers, we're missing some guys for the year or for most of the season. So again, death by 1,000 cuts there. So you're a home underdog, and this is an opportunity for Brent Venables to show the world, I don't have all my pieces here. Can I put something together and frankly shock some people? Because if OU wins this game on any level, here's how this is going to go down. If they win the game, it will shock some people. Like, whoa, didn't see that coming. And number two, for a lot of people, it'll be, well, Tennessee's just not that good. Because that's going to be the narrative if that happens. Yeah. I can tell you exactly what they're going to say. They're going to say some of the things that me and other people have been saying. That was like, well, comparing the non-conference schedules, they didn't really. Chattanooga and NC State almost lost to Western Carolina. That's the narrative that will pop up.
Yeah.
And then we'll have, but the good news is, like, you'll have more opportunities down the road if you can beat some other teams that are, pretty notable. There might be a 1 versus 5 matchup down the road for all.
But Sean, look, man, I
think you got to get through this one first if you can.
I think the thing. Here's what I have to say about that. Okay. And I don't care that Joe Milton got hurt. But people, if you watch this pod, you see me on the SEC podcast, I went at Jay a lot last year. Joe Milton's terrible, hot garbage. But regardless of that, I've seen them go to a Tuscaloosa and play a team that was all over the place offensively. Did Alabama get better as the season went on by the time they played Tennessee? Yeah. But Milroe was still a work in progress. I've seen them travel with this same vaunted defensive line or guys that are on there and all the rest of that stuff and have the same offensive chemistry. I've also seen them go out there and for whatever locker room problems or whatever they were having, I've seen Spencer Rattler dice them up for 6 tutties and made them all look foolish.
We can't think about last year.
I get that we can't think about last year, but I'm telling you that I've seen this Tennessee team not go on a road and play to their expectations or to the same level.
You know what this you know what this Tennessee hasn't done? They haven't like been at home and looked like trash against an opponent that frankly they should have beaten by multiple scores.
I get it.
Like they've looked the part. So I can't like 2 things can be true about Tennessee. One, their non-conference schedule is trash. But the other thing that's true is that they're a really, really good football team. So both things can be true. And I'm not going to say, well, based on last year, and because I fall into that trap too. I get it. But we have a little bit of a we have a decent sample size of what these 2 teams are. And consistently Oklahoma has struggled on offense all year. Week 1 against Temple was just really bad, and they were able to do some stuff, but the defense like forced like 12,000 turnovers, and it didn't matter what Temple could do. Houston, Willie Fritz coached like the hell of a game he turned chicken shit into chicken salad and, had the ball with a chance to do something, but the defense was too good and nothing of that happened. So I just, again, Brent Venables said it best. He says, I expect us to play our best game this season so far, and they're going to need to, because if, again, all the things we've talked about, all the negatives, all the things, if they don't play up to what they're capable of, and even then that may not be enough, unfortunately, because offensively, it's just
I get it, the realism, but
I'm just trying to keep it real here.
I hear some of the pessimism in there. All I'm saying is this right here is that I don't think that right now are they playing good football? They're playing great football. I'll give them that. You do what you're supposed to do, go out there and beat bad teams. But 70 points against Tennessee, Chattanooga, and those other teams, and then NC State, I'm just going to be honest with you, regardless of what issues we have, we still beat NC State. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think that them coming here, like I said, I'm not scared. And I think there's a plausible part of this. It's plausible to think that there's a part of this fan base who doesn't think that as well, as far as them coming here, that this is just about to be some, run and gun show or TCU where they come in here and just beat the dog out of us, or we even play it close. If we play it close, I give us the advantage in that game, whether it's 3 points, a touchdown, or 10 points, or whatever the case may be. I think playing at home will have something to do with that. I think that Nico playing his first true road game, not a game where Tennessee fans are going to travel. Don't get me wrong, but not a game where they're close like they were in Charlotte. But I don't think that you're going to see OU shy away from it. I just can't see that. BV, Billy, this is the reason why you're confident, because you have guys like Billy Bowman back there and that talented secondary. Then you also got Danny Stutzman in the defensive line, which I don't think that you're going to have to go crazy trying to stop the run, because you've been really good against the run and you're getting really good interior defensive play. And maybe we saw the emergence of a new pass rusher from R. Mason Thomas. But offensively, I think that getting Nick Anderson back at the very least, if you can get Anderson back as well, that may give some confidence. My uncle always talks about, he always says this, I know a bunch of people say it as well, offensive line plays harder when they got somebody they know they can block for, that can actually get them to where they're trying to go, right? And I think that you can liken that to a Jackson Arnold where, hey, he gets his guys back, gets his ones back, and mix those in with some of the guys who's gotten a lot of experience, and you can switch people like Brennan Thompson and not have him be out there as your every down wide receiver or a guy that's running actual routes, to where you can have him do what he does best, which is stretch the field. I think that's going to pay dividends for Jackson. the offensive line has not been perfect, but it's been good enough to win and good enough to do some really good things. What you have to look at is just poor execution and sometimes just bad play calling by Latrell at certain points in the game. But those days have hurt us and they've lingered throughout. And I'm not going to sit here and use injuries as an excuse, but Sean, I'm just telling
but
you.
Injuries are but injuries are a legit excuse to an extent.
Yeah.
But we got the guys we got. We're going to roll out there. We're going to attempt to win the game, and they're not going to not count the game just because we have guys that are hurt. 49-0 still happened regardless if we didn't have a quarterback a couple of years ago. Yep. So again, I know you brought Tennessee beating a bunch of teams 70 points, but that's what you're supposed to do if you're a good football team. You crush teams by 70 if you can. And just someone talking about our home field advantage, and it's like being garbage or whatever. It's like, look, how many big conference games can you think of? Legit that were on this level? They didn't exist before. It's been a long time. Texas is always our biggest national game, and that place, I promise you, our 46,000 gets loud in that Cotton Bowl. I was one of them. That place get 46,000 of us get loud. I promise you, our fan base will get loud. They are capable. I know that every fan base in the SEC has old people. You don't think Alabama has old people, or Georgia has old people, or Tennessee? I promise you, Tennessee got a bunch of old people too. But it's I'm not worried about our crowd not getting loud. Especially if they're in this game late, I promise you they'll get loud, especially if Stutzman and those guys makes plays. This fan base has been craving a defense to get behind and cheer for. So that is something that again, crowd, intimidation, getting in a young quarterback's head, that's going to be a huge part of this. That's going to have to be instilled in one of the reasons we win this game tonight. And then we'll go to Auburn the next week, and people will say, well, can they win on the road? And then we'll get to that to another point. But
yeah,
again, it's just, I want to believe they got to play their best game. They can't have any the one. I know we had the horrid turnover before last week with the pick six, but the one thing this offense has not really done, they haven't really had fumbles or near picks or anything. It just hasn't been it's like having it's like when I was in the Army and I went and qualified with whether it's my M16 or my M4. I'm on the range, and we take apart our weapon, we clean it. It's the one thing. It's like we've been going out there without a firing pin. You can put the gun back together and everything's fine, but if that firing pin isn't in there, it ain't gonna work. So it's we're missing a firing pin for this offense. And maybe if you look around on the grass somewhere and, oh, there it is. I dropped it, drill sergeant. My bad. I'll do my 100 push-ups. And then after you scream at me, I'll put it back together. I'll make sure I get some gun oil on there and just clean it up. And, oh, look, we have an offense now. But yeah, it's just, if they've, whatever the game plan is, get the screen, I think they need to get the screen game going. They need to get on the outside. They need to get find a way to get the, block for Taylor Tatum. Let him get out in the open field. Let him do something. So get your best athletes in a position with the ball in their hands to, get people excited. So again, if you can score early, because the one thing they've done really well, despite the offense sputtering, they've scored early. The scripted plays to start the game tend to work very well. So again, it's just every little thing has to go right for Oklahoma for them to win this game. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be doing my watch along with a bunch of people in there being miserable, because they walk in miserable, because that's what they do. They know who they are. Just the self-loathing OU fan. There was one in here earlier. So it's we have a bunch of self-loathing fans who find no joy in anything. And look, if we have some listen, I will find something to look forward to. If we find a way to score 28, 30 plus points, and even if we lose the game for whatever reason, I'll probably still find little things I can look forward to for the rest of the year, because it's a new era of college football where one loss doesn't kill your season, but it's the first SEC game and get the Heupel thing. And so there's a lot more pressure on this one. Gotta try to get this one. And I feel a lot better if we were a lot healthier on that side of the ball, and we were a little more consistent. But we got to roll with what we got. And, defensively, Stutzman can lead the way. And we'll see what happens on Saturday night.
We'll go from there. Look, people, this is my friend, one of my favorite YouTubers, all the rest of that stuff. So we a little bit on two different ends of the spectrums, but I think at the end of the day, I can't talk for him on this. He does want OU to win. And I'll go out on a limb. I think that he may be being real about this, but I think deep down he feels something in the air as well, man. I
want OU to win. I really do.
I feel good about it. I gotta point out one thing. Rob, shout out to you for coming on the show. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for hopefully leaving a like. But I will say this. Don't ever mention Texas and Switzer in the same conversation. That doesn't go around here. That's how you get out of it. Don't do that. Y'all not getting to those Switzer era.
Switzer recruited very well in the state of Texas.
Yes.
I just did it. I just mentioned Switzer, Texas, same.
Hey, look. I'm fine with that. But saying Texas, OU's going to the dark and Texas is about to enter that Switzer-like era, I've heard that for the last decade or more, and I'm exhausted. I see you guys finally won a Big 12 championship, and now we're pouting our chest out. You're number one right now. That's perfectly fine. You haven't really played anybody. Michigan is not who we thought they were. So when we are talking about real games,
you're not allowed to say that. You
my
can't.
son.
No, you can't tell the truth and say, listen, I knew Michigan was going to be trash before the season because I did my homework, and I said, I don't know if you've heard me, but I've said multiple places, Texas is going to go in and win that game. And I said, if they don't, it's an indictment on the entire program. Now they did. They won the game as they should have. But it's like, if they had gone up there and screwed that up, it's like, no. But they went up there, took care of business. A good football team beat of all the problems I think OU has on offense, like Michigan's worse. They got they have literally no one who can throw the football correctly.
Unless you are Florida with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow and some other occasional times you had two quarterback system. That is no. Two quarterbacks equal no quarterbacks. I always remember that.
But Tebow was like a bell, like he was.
He was more of a belldozer. And the times that he would throw was like,
we stole the Tebow gimmick with Blake basically, and then he became the QB afterwards. But it's like, still, it was just. I'm again Texas. I think they're really good, and my favorite thing about Arch right now is that we told you so, and I'm like. You said you told me he was the greatest recruit of all time, and you're hyping him up, beating down UT San Antonio. He's supposed to do that, right? Like that's kind of my reaction to that. Ha ha! You thought he was gonna dude. I always expect guys. I never said he would get beat down by UT San Antonio. I would hope he would play well against UT San Antonio. You're supposed to do that. Like if he does that against Georgia, does that against us and other teams, then I'll hand him his flowers. But it's like it's the Roadrunners, bro, and it's like it ain't the same Roadrunners from a year or two ago. That team's dead. You took their best player on defense too, by the way, and he's getting replaced by Colin Simmons. So Texas got players now. They do, and they're finally using them. But it's like everyone's like, oh, Arch is here now. It's like he's supposed to do that based on what you've told me. So why are you trying to sell me on him again?
I said
that's my thing.
This is crazy. Look, Texas is okay. We don't. It doesn't really
winning
matter.
No fucking Heisman. Excuse me. He ain't winning no Heisman.
This is getting ridiculous. Now we're going 6-6 and this and that. Look, people. Y'all can have y'all opinions. We'll have ours. At the end of the day, I got the Sooners winning. I'm gonna go 31-21. I think we get the job done this weekend. If you want to drop your scores right now, your predictions, Sean, I'll give you the floor. What is your prediction for this game, win or lose?
I can't give you my prediction. I got to do that for Friday when I do my final before we go to the game. I would give it away. I got to do my deal too, So I'll be a homer and say we win, but I'll give you what I haven't done many score predictions because I'm just like I just usually pick win or lose, but I'll believe. I'll be a good fan and say I'll believe, and they win a thriller in a game of the year, even though we got like 4 of those left on the schedule this year, game of the year type moments. Whoever like approved Texas schedule should be put in prison.
Oh yeah, no, they should be tied to a pole and forced to look at everybody else.
It's like, listen, I accept the challenge of who we're playing, but it's like, wait a minute, like you gave them Georgia, and that's pretty much it. You gave them Georgia. You could have like traded out one Mississippi State for an LSU or a Tennessee. Nah, we can't do that.
Is there what I would say, there's some other decent games on. We don't have to talk too much about them, just maybe just a little blur. But I think that Utah O State game is going to be really interesting.
If Cam Rising can play, I would.
Yeah, Cam Rising is playing. I don't know where Ollie Gordon and Harold Perkins. Now, granted, Ollie Gordon is a guy. This is the one thing I don't like about Ollie Gordon is that
he forgot how to run. I guess
he talks whenever things are actually going good, because this year you haven't seen him do a lot of talking except when he finally gets it churning, which is late. Which for some odd reason that's what he loves to do. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing run game wise. Maybe they've been keeping it vanilla as well, because that's what Gundy loves to do. But
vanilla for what? You played Arkansas, and like now you're playing. What are you being vanilla for? You don't have the luxury.
That is the Gundy way. All I know is this right here is that I think Utah is playing good football, and Cam Rising is really the difference.
You got a preseason Heisman hype level running back, and you're not. He can't run the football. So it's like. And that, I don't know if you've heard, but Kyle Whittingham can coach on the line of scrimmage both ways. He's pretty good at it. There's a reason he's kept his job all those years.
That's a good coach that's coming in there, and people, I'm telling you now,
I gave Utah the Big 12. I handed it to them.
I think we all did.
I took out my magic wand and I kind of like christened them, like I knighted them as the new kings of the Big 12. So
O State should be the king of the Big 12, to be honest with you.
No, I gave it to Utah. So
Utah, and then K-State is, really the cream of the crop. I don't know what's going on in Kansas right now. Arizona, they have to show they can bounce back, and they have to show they can pass to more than just one guy. It's
the game I'm looking forward to.
What's that?
Because they're setting it up. They've already set it up. I've already seen them set it up.
Ohio State Marshall, right?
SC at Michigan. USC's got that tough road test against Michigan. That's the mid-afternoon game. So if USC, like I said about Texas going up to Michigan, if USC doesn't go up there and win that game, it's an indictment on that program, because that's how bad Michigan is. Michigan is trash. So, and like I hear them hyping up, this is going to be a big test for Lincoln Riley and the Trojans. Like, it better not be a big test. Because what I've been told is like, well, their defense is back. Back? What do you mean back? He never had one to begin with. So how can you be back to something if you've never had one? You've gone from straight trash to average. That's basically what SC is. And like, I know, because we saw USC defensive backs tackle once against LSU. And like, oh my God, they have a defense. No, they're somewhat competent now, which is an improvement. So I have to give credit where it's due. He finally got a DC who took them from worst in the country, bottom of the barrel, to like somewhere in the 60s. I think that's all we ever dreamed of when he was here. I mean, I kind of wanted to be kind of where we're at right now, what Brett has, but then that monkey's paws thing happened with our offense, because you want a defense, the offense has to be sacrificed. But no, like SC should go up there and win that game, because Michigan's a tire fire, and there's a reason Sherrone Moore's the head coach, because I don't think any legit head coaching candidate would want that job with all the turmoil and NCAA crap that's going on right now.
How
It's just not a good place to go to right now.
how they don't go and get, I mean, how they don't get a quality guy out of the portal is beyond me.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because Harbaugh was pussyfooting around with the NFL, and he left them high and dry. It's because he left them in a bad situation.
But
of course, they didn't go get a quarterback.
But
so how can you recruit a guy out of the portal if your coach is playing footsies with the NFL?
That's the key word. They did recruit a guy. They have a 5-star that's on campus.
You and I both know that just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean you're ready right away. It took Arch Manning 8 years of sitting on the bench before he was finally ready to emerge, and he's the greatest recruit of all time.
That is true. That is true.
They still like that. You didn't read. Did you even reach out to Dylan Gabriel? Did you even reach out to who quarterback at Miami? I'm blanking on his name. Who came out of Wazoo? Who's the quarterback in Miami?
Oh, Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. I knew it was Ward. I couldn't remember. It's like you didn't reach out to Cam Ward. You just reach out. Who's God? Dante Moore, who was a Michigan high school kid. You didn't reach out to him. Like somebody, anybody. Like you give like a buffer.
They did reach out. I just think Oregon may offer.
You're probably right, but
I mean he's a hometown kid, pretty essentially.
But it's just for a national championship team to drop off this bad. I mean, it's like their win. It's like their title last year was fraudulent or something. Who knew? It's like they cheated to win it or something. They don't like it when you bring that shit up.
It's like they cheated. That finally hit me. Yeah, Connor. Oh, yeah. No, I think that's a 2:30 kickoff. The OSU game is a 3 o'clock kickoff, so those would be some really good games in between, and also in between the 11 o'clock hour, because there's not really.
We can't watch Arch versus General Booty, unfortunately, because we'll be playing at the same time.
Yeah.
So, God,
General, go out there and do what you got to do, baby boy.
That would be amazing if like.
Wouldn't that be great? And Rob would come back on here talking about, well, I thought that we were going headed for the Switzer era, but we're headed for the Shitzer era, right? But regardless, though, tell everybody we've been on here for about an hour and 6 minutes, people. We're about to get off of here. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at, man.
I'm on the internet too much. I'm terminally on the internet because I'm required to be online to do what I do. Believe me, if I could stay away from the internet a little bit more, I would. What I'm not looking forward to is when I do the first playoff reveal show. You know, when they do the rankings.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be that first reveal is going to be on November 5th. Something else happened in that day, and I'm not looking forward to being on the internet. It's on a Tuesday, the first Tuesday in November. I'm not looking forward to being on the internet that day. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So, but where you can find me, I'm Oni Kuno, ONIKUNO. You'll find me. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
What's going on? November 5th.
It's election day.
Oh,
I was like first Tuesday in November.
Hey, look, they just tell me to show up. I show up to the polls. I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
You Pokemon vote, Pokemon go to the polls.
This ain't a political show, but vote. Whoever you want to vote for, just vote.
Yeah, vote.
Vote for me.
Me and Elo are gonna do our damnedest to like. We're gonna break down the Big 12. We're gonna talk about who should be number 11. Just like I don't care what's going on. Because I'll vote early, not to deal with that crap.
Yeah,
and I'll just like I was like, we're here to talk football. We're here to talk about the playoff. I'm here to talk about who the G5 champ is going to be.
Oh, that's what I'm here to be in that chat. I know that chat's going to be crazy.
Oh God, I'm going to block.
I know that chat for you is going to be crazy. Well, people, hey, look, like, subscribe, do all those different things for the channel, man. Bringing you good content, man. All the content. When we win this game, I will hit up Sean. And if he is still up, I will bring him on here and I will bring him out for you people.
You know how
and
when
OU
bring
wins,
me on. You know how exhausted
wins,
I am after a game.
Look, when OU wins,
I got to put up with crazy people in my own chat. I got to do a recap video where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. One way, see, for me, one way or another, I'm going to make some money on Saturday, win or lose. So I'm going to take advantage of it. So, like, if we lose, I'm going to have the, I'm going to go for it, just lean into it. I might make Feinbaum as a crazy guy on the internet. I'm going to go for it. I need to make some money this year. So, I got to do it. So,
all I gotta say,
I want to win too.
All I gotta say is this right here. I'm gonna bring Sean back over here. Then I want Sean Riddle to come up to the step up to the plate. Then I want Sooners Cowboys to step up to the plate. You know, y'all my guys, but you know y'all a little bit pessimistic right now. So I want
Sooners
y'all.
Cowboys thinks we're going to lose the first quarter every.
And that is true. That is true.
And I call him out. And I call him very mean names because of it, but he still comes back.
That's my boy. Yeah. Nah,
he can be your boy, but I still was like, dude, quit being a little bitch.
I'm bringing all these guys back to the chat, and yes, sir, I will verbally undress these people and let them know.
The way last week, the way the game was going, I was like, we're not losing Tulane. It was like, then the pick six happened. Oh my God! I was like, all right, let's make a play. You know what we didn't talk about real quick? Here's what gives me hope for Saturday. You know what? Maybe I think Jackson had his put the team on his back moment last week. You know, It was 3rd and 11. You know, first read wasn't there. Maybe it was a design run. Who knows? He took it. You know, he took the ball, got in the end zone on 3rd and 11, and everyone went nuts. Maybe that was the moment, Chris. Maybe that was the moment that sparked what's going to happen on Saturday. Maybe that was where the team started to believe.
They don't talk about that enough. That was a great bounce back. That was a great bounce back moment for Jackson. Because I was literally trying to rip out what little hair I do have.
It was a Rhett Bomar-esque play.
Yeah,
from 2005.
And to be honest with you, that's not a bad comp for right now.
That's kind of what our offense feels like. I feel like we're the 05 offense. But with a better
I would not go that bad.
We didn't have a passing touchdown until the Baylor game. That's how I remember that stat. That's how bad Adrian Peterson with a high ankle sprain, and I guess K-State, and then I was at that OU Texas game. Oh, it was brutal. Oh my God, it was brutal. But anyway, listen, if I have the energy, which is probably not going to happen, but if I do and you hit me up, we'll see. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be exhausted. I'm just going to want to just strip down and just because if we lose that game, I'm going to be Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. When Cameron went to Egypt's land, let my Cameron go. That's going to be me if we lose that game.
When OU's on top, I usually turn into the drill sergeant off of Full Metal Jacket. Whenever we lose, I'm sitting over there like old boy did whenever they hit him with those pillowcases full of those soap. I'm sitting in that room by myself thinking some bad things, man. I'm thinking some bad things.
Or he looks at Joker and Joker looks at him. Joker's got the bar soap. He's got to do it. Just boom, boom. He's got to do it. He didn't want to, but he had to.
Man, that movie. I don't know why I find joy in that movie. That movie's deep.
I watched that movie about 5 times, or at least the first 45 minutes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Before I went to basic in the Army, he's like, all right, if it's anything less than this, I'll be fine. I know it's like Marines, Army is not quite the same. It's like, all right, if it's anything less than this, I'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, shoot. People, look, we've been on here an hour and 13 minutes. It's time. Horns always down. The Horns Down podcast. Chris Griffin. You got Sean over here. Go check out Onikuno on YouTube. But with that being said, like, subscribe, do all those different things, people. Appreciate you for showing up.
You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one